back to Synergy Bonus.
Doing a...
Wrapping up the year with a top 10 list for you. Our favorite snowy, wintry, icy stages.
Mm-hmm.
Some with the holiday themes, some without. Most without.
All have one theme in common.
Snow.
However, we're not using the cop-out of this game is set entirely during winter or in a winter country.
I'm looking at you, Skyrim.
Metal Gear Solid 1.
Hey, you're finally awake.
We could have just trolled the entire...
Our number 1 game, Skyrim. Our number 2 game,
Skyrim.
And to keep
Elder Scrolls 3, Blood Moon Expansion, also set in winter.
To keep it fair, we're going to do one game per franchise for this list. That way, if we ever do another top 10, winter, snow, whatever, we can expand on it. So,
damn it, how did we forget Oracle of the Seasons?
Same way we forgot Shovel Knight. Anyways,
you already know what two are now not on the list.
Except we're probably going to cut that part.
Maybe.
No, we're not.
All right, we're going to kick this off at number 10. This will be...
Snowy Toronto from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game.
Which I'm sad you can no longer get.
It's a really sad thing, and it's a discussion we're going to have in a later date. It's got great music.
So it plays back into our pet peeve about download-only games with no physical copy.
Yeah,
we'll have that conversation at a later date.
But as I said, it's got great music. It's your classic beat-em-up stage.
It's a good learning stage for the first one. The enemies aren't that hard. There's not too many obstacles to come over, but enough for you to get used to things.
It has a throwback to River City Ransom with the secret shop under the bridge. Yep. And it ends with the fight with Matthew Patel, the first evil ex-boyfriend, and it just sets up the fun for the rest of the game.
This is quite literally the first stage in the game. We stick this one down at number 10 because quite literally the fact that it's snowy is incidental. It does add a very nice visual effect to it, but it doesn't have too many mechanical things because, again, first stage of the game.
It could have been Toronto during any of the other 3 Canadian seasons.
Almost
still winter.
Still winter in construction?
Yep.
Okay.
It's always construction on the QEW.
Oh, God. That thing is a nightmare.
So that brings us to number 9. The Ice Cap Zone from Sonic 3.
Sonic the Hedgehog number 3.
I wish I could have put this higher on the list, but when it comes down to it, it's only got great music going for it. It's a pretty decent level design, and the visuals are impressive. Other than that, it is a Sonic stage.
That's got that nice little intro where you're on the snowboard. But outside of that, yeah, there's nothing that stands out from any other Sonic game aside from
music. The music is what makes it stand
out. The visual
out.
And the motif. Even the boss fight is kind of...
That wasn't even the Robotnik boss fight. No, that was the mid-boss fight.
Mid-boss fight, but yeah.
So.
Moving on then. Number 8. Coming in from Mega Man X, we like Chill Penguin. Icy Penguino.
Yes.
Another setup of it's a good intro stage. You don't have to choose this one first, but out of the stages, it's the easiest.
Pretty good chance that it's the one that you beat first the first time you in your first playthrough.
And since it's Mega Man X, it's the first stage that you get a piece of X armor that's on the way. The rest of them are kind of out of the way. This one's, you can't miss it. You also can't progress the game without it.
It's non-negotiable.
It also introduces a lot of other mechanics, like showing wall jumping to get to various ledges. It's the first suit of ride armor that you're going to encounter that picks you up and lets you go, oh, this is a thing. It's not just something Vile uses to rape my ass.
It's also one of the first stages that you'll think to revisit later on because you have a weapon to break something.
Break something and go different route.
The music's catchy.
Very catchy.
The visuals are great. You start in a snowy drift. You go into a cave. You come back out and you have your showdown with Chill Penguin. It's pretty neat.
Just climbing the mountain. Yep. All right. So coming in next at number 7
is Winters from Earthbound. It's memorable. It's got a catchy jingle.
The stage where you meet Jeff, isn't it?
Yep, you actually start as Jeff there.
At that point, Paula and Ness are trapped. They need help, so they use their psychic powers to call out to a friend they don't know yet.
Yep.
And
That's
POVs.
some My Little Pony shit right there.
Well, when the game starts off, Paula goes, I'm a friend that you've never met when she talks to Ness. So.
Because Paula can sense the other heroes, even though they haven't all encountered each other yet. But you POV switch over to Jeff, and you have to go figure out, why is this voice talking in my head?
It's the schizophrenia.
And
it's the isolation of living in a border school.
Boarding.
And of course, there's the Loch Ness monster known Tessie, and the Bubble Monkey, and it's just a nice.
It's fun. It's a nice set piece.
Fun stage.
It's kind of a breather setup
For the thing that is Earthbound.
I don't know, masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece.
And mindfuck.
That's where I was going. The mindfuck part of Earthbound.
We're going to go.
Given that it's all psychics, that's kind of a. I'd be more interested in that if they weren't all underage.
Mother 3 is also just
weird.
Anyways,
so the Mother franchise is weird.
Yeah.
All right then.
Number 6. This is one of my personal favorites, and there was really no contesting put it on the list. But the Himalayas from DuckTales, because Capcom and Disney made sweet love in the early 90s, and we got these awesome games.
A whole bunch of them, and we'll probably talk about that at some later date.
But the Himalayas, I mean...
Well, mostly great games. DuckTales. Tailspin.
But he was actually saying it was his least favorite stage in the game. But that doesn't mean it's a bad stage.
It's not a bad stage. It's a great game, but even in a great game, one of the stages has to be the least, and this is it.
But it's got, I mean, the whole game had great music. It's got billy goats. It's got hockey players. You got Bubba, the caveman.
Bubba Duck, yeah.
And
that's a reference because remember in the show in the comics they thawed him out of a chunk of ice that I think they found in the Himalayas.
But also, Scrooge's pogo doesn't work in the snow. You just plop right in there and he's helpless. It's great.
But pogoing is really the only way to get across the ice so he doesn't slip and slide.
And the boss of the stage, of course, is the Abominable Snowman.
It's a recurring theme throughout here. Okay.
So that brings us to our halfway point now.
Number 5, our halfway point, which was at one point the end point of its respective game, Icecrown from
the World of Warcraft.
Wrath of the Lich King expansion.
Final zone expansion for the area, the zone that actually gets the most development over the course of the expansion with the
Argent Crusade,
the war effort to siege the gates,
big siege and assault. Yeah, starting in Dragonblight with the siege
of the Wrathgate.
Of the Wrathgate, of which we are all veterans.
Yep. But you get the Argent Tournament formed, so you get the strongest people to go up against the Lich King.
After the siege at the Wrathgate fails, you have to go to that camp and make it through the breach and be the first one through the breach.
There's a lot going on in Icecrown.
And there's even small little quests that people forget about, like the Dying Paladin, who you have to do that quest to cure him of the Scourge Taint for the light to accept him at the end.
You take back the stronghold and home base of the Death Knights. Take from. There's just a whole bunch going on.
Then once you finally breach the door of Icecrown Citadel itself, and you come toe-to-toe with the Lich King, it's just very memorable, and it's one of my favorite.
Yeah, Icecrown Citadel by itself just is a nice dungeon, but yeah.
The whole area.
Time to walk or to run. Arthas is power walking at
you. Yep. How's a reflection?
Yeah. Although I would say that one island way off the north coast with the Vrykul,
where your screen freezes. Yeah. It's a great touch.
I just love that.
There's a lot of crazy shit in there too, like that one thing where you're up here taking out this fortress. Okay, the battle in the valley's not going well. You need to get down there in a hurry. What are you thinking? And then you just surf on a harpoon down.
No, that was Howling Fjord.
Yep, that is Howling Fjord.
And that was one of my favorite areas because fuck you surfing on a harpoon.
Alright, so what's next?
So we're at number 4 now.
Yep. Super Mario Brothers 3.
Going way back.
Actually, the entire World 6. It's
Ice Stage.
World.
Iceland? Ice World.
Iceland, I think.
Iceland. A series of ice stages.
A series of ice stages.
But yeah, reaching way back into the annals of time, this may be for a lot of people the first ice-style stage that they ever encountered. It's
personally Mario 2 or Doki Doki Panic was my first, but this one definitely is more memorable because it's Mario 3. Mario 3 is very colorful. And it's the only world, to my knowledge, where you can get the Hammer Brothers suit. Which is one of the reasons you go here.
Yep.
But after this, you get the dreaded Pipe World. So, this was your breather stage.
Hope you got a warp whistle.
Fucked up if this is your breather stage.
Hope you got a warp whistle.
Get in, get the Hammer Brothers suit, warp
Get
your
out.
ass out.
Otherwise, you're going to have a showdown with Lemmy Koopa, and, well, we have certain feelings of the Koopa kids.
He's not the special one.
They're all kind of special.
In their own way.
Next up!
Alright.
This is one of Trav's favorite.
This was one I pulled.
For number 3.
And I like Snow Peak and the associated dungeon Snow Peak Ruins from the Twilight Princess Legend of Zelda. It's just a fun place where right from the get-go, from the minute you get out of the Frozen Zora's domain and into Snow Peak Mountain and you're climbing up that snowy hill and there's just that giant Yeti standing up there under the tree who turns out to be friendly against all odds and challenges you to a snowboarding race down to his mansion on the mountaintop.
There's a theme.
Yeah.
If there's snow, you gotta snowboard.
You gotta slide. Yeah.
And there's gotta be a Yeti.
Hip and edgy and
Of course.
attitude. Children of the 90s we are.
But I think the dungeon's what really shines for me there.
Yeah, it's just this big, creepy, haunted mansion. And I emphasize the haunted because you got like suits of armor coming to life. You've got these snow demons everywhere. You walk in the front door. There's a ghost Poe with one of those Poe souls to collect right there in the entryway. And it's just these huge sweeping panoramics. I love it.
And you're making a soup for this Yeti.
You're hunting down ingredients throughout the entire dungeon to find the stuff to make a perfect soup to cure the Yeti's wife's cold. Which is just... Saying it out loud is weird.
That's a very weird...
It's Zelda. It gets really weird.
And of course, the cure that her husband comes up with, throwing random ingredients and dead enemies that you find throughout the dungeon into a pot and boiling it, doesn't cure her so much as turn her into a monster. Spoiler, she's the final boss of the dungeon. And once you've beaten her, she unlocks another minigame where you get to snowboard against her down the mountain for heart pieces.
Yay, snowboarding.
Yay, snowboarding.
We heard snowboarding is popular with the kids.
Okay. All right, moving on. Number 2.
Number 2, this is one of Greg's.
Toss it over to you, Threcht.
All right.
I'm so glad this is a thing. Now, we said no games that take place, just the whole games in ice area. However,
I found a way around that.
Of course he did.
Metal Gear Solid 4, Chapter 4, The Return to Shadow Moses, where it's getting towards the wind up at the end of the game. You have to go back to Shadow Moses. You come in through an alternate angle. The sequence starts with a PTSD nightmare of Snake reliving, infiltrating the Shadow Moses facility. And as you're going through the stage, you see little areas that Snake remembers vividly. And it'll show a little cutscene of something that was relevant at the time, like finding that security camera. When you go into the ducts, he remembers hearing Miller's voice.
Now you say little cutscene. This is Metal Gear. You're talking 20, 30 minutes?
No, these are actually legitimate little cutscenes. But you find the Hind D that Liquid was piloting. You find its wreck at the bottom. You have not one, but 3 boss fights in this zone. The first one against Crying Wolf, the second one against Vamp, and then finally, the showdown, but not the final actual boss fight of the game, a mech battle between you and Liquid Ocelot in Metal Gears, because Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Yes. And it's...
Errol's hot?
She's my niece.
She's still hot, asshole! But it's just a beautiful callback, and the original Metal Gear Solid was set during a snow mission.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is true.
Uh-huh.
So we have a few honorable mentions
Yeah,
here.
throw those out there before we get to number 1.
Yeah.
So the first honorable mention we came up with actually wasn't a video game, but it was. Tell me if I'm pronouncing this right, Rick. Vorostov. Vorostok? Vorostakov, which is a Domain of Dread from the Ravenloft campaign setting for Sword and Sorcery at the time. D&D
Before that, D&D.
Yeah, D&D 3.75.
No, it was D&D 3.0, and we've gone through so many homebrewed patches to keep it relevant setting.
No, but anyhow, and it's a neat little setting within the Domains of Dread. that's locked in permanent winter in this sort of 300-mile-long valley up in these impenetrable mountains. It's very Russian, Dark Ages level technology and so on. And it's just because it's permanent winter and it's been winter for generations at this point, and daytime is 6 hours a day. Food is very scarce. And so the Dark Lord is seen as a hero here. He takes out these hunting parties, and because of the vicious monsters in the woods, which is what keeps everybody in the villages, the other hunting party members keep getting killed off. But he finds all of this meat, and I'm sure you can see where we're going with this. Yeah.
Soylent, the hunting food
is
people!
The next honorable mention that we came up with broke the rule of not having a game set in a winter setting.
Icewind Dale. There you go.
Like the whole franchise. Everything about it is just...
Both games, Icewind Dale 1 and Icewind Dale 2. Because
and wherever Icewind Dale appears in Faerun.
It's a setting, and the game's Icewind Dale is set in that specific subsect of that setting.
Not to
You're
mention...
in 10 towns and...
endless Drizzt novels.
I just realized...
He actually doesn't show up in those games.
No, the novels.
Yeah, I know, but he doesn't actually show up in Icewind Dale 1 or 2.
I just realized I'm drinking a Snowdrift vanilla porter. Very thematic.
Thematically appropriate.
He told me to pick something that he would drink,
I
I trolled him. We're talking about ice games.
Newsflash, I don't like IPAs. Fight me.
It's not a newsflash to anybody. It's been long established.
Have we established that? I don't know.
I've
been drinking it.
We've long since
isn't
established
even an
that
IPA.
IPAs...
No, this is a porter, but there's an IPA out there.
IPAs are swill. We're aware of this.
Anyways.
Okay.
Any other honorable mentions? Whitehaven?
Oh, yeah. God. That's an entirely different animal. Well, the number one honorable mention that we could come up with, Ski Free for your PC and Windows, 5?
Mainly because of the snowman eating you.
It was an unbeatable game as far as I'm aware. There's no way down the mountain past him.
It's scripted that he comes after you at some point. If you know how to accelerate, you can get away from him in bursts. But he will eventually catch you.
Yeah, so there's no end to it.
Yeah.
The end of the game is the Yeti catches you.
Okay. So our number one...
Coming back to the main list.
Our number one spot goes to Final Fantasy VII with the Great Glacier. And I see Trav's over here.
He didn't get that far.
I was outvoted on this. Final Fantasy VII is a terrible game, and I didn't get that far.
It is not a terrible game.
The end
it's
of
the fan base is terrible. There.
It's overly hyped.
I like fantasy games that have fantasy, not giant corporations and...
This does have fantasy.
It shouldn't be guns in a fantasy game, ever.
But it also has giant corporations, too.
Yeah,
but
no, this is a sci-fi game. It's not a fantasy game.
But...
It belongs nowhere near a Final Fantasy franchise.
This is a debate we'll have
over and over till the end of time.
Like we'll actually sit down and debate this. But anyways, we said Great Glacier.
He got outvoted
because one, it's got this somber, just nice music. It's the first area after Aerith's death, and I will say Aerith.
20 years, you don't get a spoiler.
Because the words Aerith is a stupid fucking name.
Tifa. It's Tifa.
I say Tifa. I've always said Tifa.
I
also say Yuffie.
You also used to say Chocobo.
I do say Chocobo. I say Chocobo.
Sounds like an Easter candy.
I also say Sephiroth instead of Sephiroth. Okay, I hate Final Fantasy VII's fucking naming convention. There, you can have that one. Anyways.
And we're not even going to get into Angeal and what the other
dude's
name was.
They don't exist. Okay. Anyways.
The expanded universe doesn't exist.
Okay, so it's the first area after Aerith's death. You have your shot to get the Alexander materia here.
You've got that nightmarish, keep yourself from freezing to death minigame through the entire zone.
I thought this was best winter zones. This sounds like a nightmare.
You've also got a plant flag so you don't get lost in the snow.
Oh my god.
And then when you get to the Great Glacier Town 1, you see Aerith's mom and the whole video there. And
it's just so sad.
And then the Turks show up, and they try to, assault you and end up rolling down this hill. So Q, minigame, goes snowboarding down the hill, which you can play again later on at the Gold Saucer.
You could have played it beforehand at the Gold Saucer.
No, you can't. Someone's on the machine.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Same with the... Well, you're not there before the bike, but same with the sub-game, too. You can't play that. But once you get down the hill there, you're on your way to the northern crater.
Now you have to climb the northern crater.
This is basically the turning point where everything's going bad. You lost Eris. You're going to lose Cloud periodically here because he's going to be a dumbass and give Sephiroth the black materia. And Weapon's going to come out and just start wrecking shit.
Also, now that Sephiroth has the black materia, he's going to begin the end of the world because he wants to be Kefka. And he can still fuck that up.
Yep.
Kefka at least succeeded.
Yes, he did. But that was our top 10 list of winter snow holiday stages. Not even holiday.
It's the holiday stages.
All right. So that, happy holidays. Have a good night. And
good gaming.
Hey, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed what you saw.
Let us know. Give us a like and a comment down below.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to make sure you get all notifications from us.
And as always,
good night
and good gaming.